Alright guys, we're going to use this other box here to make another one of those top hats, but this time we're going for a whole different thing. Christmas is over. The month of January, as you're going to see, it's going to be steampunk stuff. So, in case you've been in a hole for the last 4 years, steampunk is a sort of a Victorian aesthetic applied to modern stuff. So, think Wild Wild West, the movie The Wild Wild West. It's kind of a steampunk type thing. You can also find it all over the World Wide Web. I gotta make sure I've got the right size. It's a little too narrow. Need a slightly bigger ring. I can trim off, but I can't put back on. You gotta remember. Now I could just kind of go around and trim it and all. You're going to need, by the way, some craft foam, one of these little round cardboard boxes. I may have cut this one so oblong it may not work. It's still a bit too narrow. I'm going to have to stop cutting it quite so narrow. So, I may have to cut it a bit wider and then kind of and I remember I'm cutting this by the eye, so forgive any kind of inconsistency. Now, pretty good. Let's do a little bit of trimming. I don't want to go too crazy on it because I did get it to the size I want it. And we are going to be doing quite a bit more on this one than we did on the Christmas top hat. Alright, other things you're going to need. Paints. In this case, think metallic colors like silver, royal gold, antique copper. Also, this was actually a popular color in the Victorian age, mauve. Was created by a chemist. Black, gray. I've got some pearlescent here, pearl white. I've got gray. I've got khaki. And I've got some different other colors. Also, you're going to need a pair of bottle caps. And I've also got these. I picked these up at Walmart. Little clock faces, what they call favorite findings. They're supposed to be like a little button or something. You've got a little ring on the back of it. We're going to make some use of that. And we've got these little cogs. Gears. So we're going to use those in this design too. But first things first. Got to paint the top hat. So I had my glue gun on, but I was a little ahead of myself. So, alright, now, so what we're going to do is we're going to paint the top hat now. I'm thinking, where's my paint rag? Here it is. Now we are going to go with basic black, but from there, all bets are off. So, grab the big fat brush, this guy right here, just usually used for like background and canvases. I believe Michael from Artistic Impressions, if you're watching this, you can correct me on that. I believe that's used as a background brush for like canvases. Now, so what we're going to do is we're going to have to probably do this in sections because it's going to be a little bit tricky. When I'm done, you should be able, and this is going to be a centerpiece, so it's not going to be like you don't need it to have to be wear-worthy because you're not actually going to wear it. It's too small for your head. Even though among some of the steampunk aesthetic, some people do make these hats for women that are really just way too small for their heads, and they kind of fit on with like a rainbow band. I'm going ahead and getting this lid painted up. Hopefully I won't glue this thing shut with the paint like I did something earlier today. Now that seam right there we may actually be able to make a little use of, but I don't know for sure. I'm probably going to have to try to see about, because we got to remember, you're looking for the steampunk era. Was the steampunk stuff is like not 19, but like 1800 stuff, but it's like Victorian age, early industrial revolution. Think mutton chops like I wear. The Wild West was in that era. Locomotives, dirigibles, Gatling guns, revolvers, lots of brass and gleaming copper. So, there we go. Now, we're going to let that dry a few minutes and we'll be back. Alright guys, we're back. The paint's drying out. So the first thing let's do is make sure I can pull that lid off, because you still want it to be functional as a box, you know. That's going to glue in place right in here. Trying to get it even. Let's look at it from the top. Right there. Now, so what we're going to do is I've got to put a little hot glue, and hopefully it won't get too, don't want it to harden while I'm trying to do this, because that would be a pain in the neck. Now, line this up, and I got it a little bit off center, and my glue hardened just like I predicted it would. You gotta be real careful. This is probably about the most easy part of this to mess up. You gotta get it even. That'll do. Now, you'll notice it is a little bit uneven, so what we're going to do is we're going to come up here, and I'm going to cut down just a little bit right there. Now, and you could at this point make it like all sorts of things, Mad Hatter themed and everything else. Need my glue gun, or my glue sticks here, so I suspect the glue that I put on there is not going to hold. As you can see, you drop this thing and it's probably going to come loose, loosey-goosey. Oh, maybe not. Now, keep this glue stick handy though, because I am going to need it. We need a hat band. For that, I'm going to use some green craft felt, maybe. I don't know. Let me see what I can pull off here. Alright, so here's how we're going to do this. Wished I had a piece that I could paint or something. Looking to see what all we got down here. Hey, we got some green craft foam. That'll do the job. So, let me fix this where you can see what I'm doing here. There we go. Now, I'm going to do it by the eye, but I'm also going to probably cut it with enough excess as to not cut it too short either. Now, because it'll be longer than you think. I can almost guarantee you that. Now, it will almost always be longer than you mean for it to be. Now, let's fold it over onto itself. I want to make sure all my sides and everything is good. There we go. Nice and even. Or at least even-ish. Now, I know putting this green band on it's going to make everybody and their brother think about St. Patty's Day. But you're going to just kind of glue that into place. It's going to be kind of a green top hat. So let's go ahead and do that. So what we're going to do is you're going to come up on the side of this, right here. Put a string of glue up. Come up here. We're going to attach it like so to the glue. Now you're going to wheel this around, all the way around, and then back over onto itself right here. You're going to grab your glue gun. You're going to put more glue in here and push it too. Now that in itself makes a pretty cool top hat. And like I said, inspired by a Christmas project that a friend of mine sent me online. Now, what are we going to do with it from here, folks? Well, there's a lot of things you could do, but I'll show you what I'm going to do. The next thing we're going to need is some set of bottle caps. What we're going to do is, first thing we're going to do is need that and a paint rag, and I've got my paint rag right here. It's a pair of one of the kids' old clothes. Got a brush here. It's a kind of a medium-sized little brush. We're going to be using some pearl white if my paint ain't separated. Like I said, metallic paint's notorious for separating. They separate more than, well, people. Now, you're going to want to kind of do this. Now, if you could find tiny mirrors or little sequins or something, or just paint it gloss black inside if you wanted, that would be also just as fine. I'll try to, I don't want it looking like there's brush strokes. That's going to be my big problem right there. So I don't want it to look like there's brush strokes in there. It's probably going to, but we don't want it to look like there is. Now, since we got the lenses painted, we will flip it. You're not going to really use a whole lot. You're not trying to coat the whole thing. You're going to be using a little antique copper. That's going to be your goggles. You know, if it's going to be steampunk, there's going to be some brass or copper or metal goggles. That's just kind of the way it works. You kind of have to imagine a steampunk world. What do you do for a living? I'm a tax collector. What do you need goggles for? You know. Now, you don't really want to paint the back side of it too much. Well, it don't matter if you get a little extra on it, but you don't want to have to paint it too much. Now, do the same thing here. Because you're going to let it dry a minute, and then you're going to kind of wipe it down. Now, because you're kind of wanting that sort of a dingy sort of copper look to it. So we're going to let that dry a minute. Meanwhile, let's figure out how we're going to attach these. Now, that may be a little thin. We could use it. You could also use a little chain if you had it. But I don't want it blending in. So I'm thinking this right here should do it. We'll glue that as a nose piece in between. Now, let's wipe this thing down and see how it comes off looking now. Because that's not too bad. Now, let's do the same thing on this one. Because what you're wanting is not a copper coating. You don't want it looking like a shiny new penny. What you're wanting is something that's going to look like it's copper, like worn copper. Now, flip that over. We're going to come in here. We're going to figure out where we need to hook this at. Get my hands cleaned up. Now, we're going to attach our goggles probably right in here. Now, I'm going to have to cut probably another black strip or something to hang on here to make it look like a chain would be even better, but I don't have any chain presently. So we'll figure out something. I'm just going to use like a foam, craft foam sort of stripping to go around the head, to go around the band. And that's going to fit in right here, and then it'll fit right in like this, and I have cut it too short. Well, that's the dangers of that. So we got to cut it a little bit longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, and I'm trying to, let me put this to one side so I can do that. So you can see what I'm doing. See, what we're going to do is I'm going to try to cut all the way down this side. Oh, try to keep it from flopping around. There we go. Now, we've got to see if that's going to fit. And we'll figure out if it don't. Yeah, it's going to fit with some to spare. Now, so what you want to do now is fold it double. And that, guys, would be our regularly scheduled battery outage. Trying to check, I thought I saw a blue tinge on this thing I didn't want. Alright, we're going to fold this over from here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in and try to even this up. I don't want it being all jaggy. And it doesn't have to be particularly long or wide. And this end piece is not going to be that big an issue. But I do kind of need some sort of similarity in size. And therein, it's going to have to do. Now, bring this over. Go ahead and attach this back. We're going to attach these goggles right here. Remember, you can make these things as simple or as fancy as you want. Let's see if I'll swing this back around here. And I got to get an estimation for how much I need to cut off of it. Because you're going to have some excess, and you don't need a bunch of excess. There we go. Now, what we're going to do now is you're going to come up here and put just a little bit of the glue right here. Now, when you bring this around, I think I got too much in there. I'm going to have to cut it down a little bit more. I don't know where my measuring is today. All I know is it gets spider webs all over everything and annoys the daylights out of me. Won't let go of me now. Yeah, that should do it now. So now, back to what we were talking about. You put your glue here. And you swing this around till you get it where you want it. And there you are. Now you can even that up just a hair. But there's where we're at right now. Now, we are going to repaint the interior of those lenses because I just don't like the way that looked. They look kind of washed out. I don't like that. Now, if you're really worried about this thing flopping around or coming loose, you can always come in here and kind of get a new glue stick and hot glue it into place, which is what I'm going to do. That'll keep it from jouncing around when you're moving it or whatever. Now, so far, there we are. Now, we can put some accents on here, and we will in a minute. But the first thing we got to do is figure out how we're going to do this lens. Now, I'm going to set this package of metal BBs up here so that you can see how I'm painting the interior of these lenses. Now, you could put aluminum foil in there. You could have used gloss black. Me, I went with the pearl white, and I still think that was a good decision. Let me grab Well, I'm going to go for my pinpoint brush because, honestly, the smaller the brush strokes on this thing, the better. You get something with too broad of brush strokes. That strokes, you know, the strokes on it's too big. It's going to be all swashy looking. And here, you want it to look like it's a single piece of material. So, what we're going to do is we're just going to come in and paint over. Like I said, you could put all sorts of things. You could put glass. You could put actual lenses in these things. You know, like I said, it's at the end of the day, it's your art object. So do what you want. Make it as fancy or as plain as you like. The only thing stopping you is your choice of materials, your time, and your imagination. It's the only thing stopping anybody. Now, while I'm over here, I also notice that it's a bit loosey-goosey on this side of the band, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this out just a hair, put a little bit of glue in, and press it up here. I don't want this thing flopping around too much. So far, that is a respectable looking steampunk top hat, but we're not done. That's not all. Now, go ahead and put this away and we will start looking at some of the other bits that we can stick onto this dude. For starters, let's look at our cogs. Now, we got a little package of these cogs here, and I might end up having to buy some more before the end of January. This is steampunk month for us. These are quite interesting little cogs. I wonder if they actually tessellate. You know, they could probably tessellate. Now, I'm going to try to set up some sort of cog, some sort of gearing mechanism with these. Let's see. No, those don't fit so good. These actually fit quite well. Let's see what else we got in here. Got these big cogs. Maybe something like... that kind of looks like Mickey Mouse. Let's see what else we got. Got a couple of these. We got one of these. A couple of these. They kind of sent a little bit of a selection, but not a whole lot. So, what we've got to do now is figure out where we're going to put our gears. Now, I'm thinking, just for the point of reference, I'm going to put one here. Also going to put a little glue back here and push that in so that it stays in place. Get rid of these never-ending spider webs. Now, we're going to put a little cog right here. Now, over here we got another one just like it, and we will place it right in here. I got some gears that are stuck together. Alright. So far looking pretty decent. Let's see what else we can add. I've got these little cogs, and I really don't want to use them there. But we do need some gearing, so let's figure this out. I'll put one right on top, I think. Just because. And you don't want to go make this too busy because I still have some other things to put on this. But there we go. And before anybody says all he's doing is gluing cogs on it and calling it steampunk, not quite. I'm trying to play into the overall aesthetic of the concept. So, got one here. Glue another one in right in here. We will glue another one smaller one. Right in. Be very careful with the hot glue, by the way. Now, pull that off. And we're going to do another one right here on the hat band, and that's going to be another small gear. I wonder why these are all stuck to each other. Now I could put a few more little ones here and there. You don't want to overcog this thing. You don't want to overplay it. That would be way too steam. That would be just not quite right. But right there, that should do the job as far as that goes. Now, we do have one other thing we can place, and I'm going to place one of those. I got these from Walmart too. And these are little clock faces that are buttons. See? Now, I gotta figure out. There we go. It's like this, and apparently it's stuck at about 10 minutes till 2 or something. So, let's take that up here, and we're going to put that one over here on this side. Right in here, I think. This one here, you see, it's got a little button on it, and I don't want that sticking out. So, now I could go in and just kind of cut a hole, and I may end up having to do that. I did not want to have to do that, but we'll take a knife and I will cut a little hole, just big enough to slide that through, and I just had a nickel stuck in my Stanley knife. Alright, we're going to come up here and just kind of, just ever so gently. So I don't want to damage my work here, but this is hopefully going to remain covered. So this shouldn't be an issue. Alright, let's get rid of this extra glue. Now, we got us a little hole made. Now, put a little bit of glue right here. Now, find 12, because we do want the clock face to be set straight up. Now, I think that worked. What do you think, guys? That's our first steampunk project for the month of January. So, let's take a look-see up here in the light where you can see better. Now, the lenses, I could admit I could do better at. I may end up coming back and doing something with the lenses. But, for intents and purposes, she's a done. I think it looks pretty sharp, really. Now, you could have really, like I said, really made it as elaborate or as simple as you wanted. This is just a variant on a Christmas project somebody sent. I thought it was kind of a neat idea. If I had it to do over, I would have cut off the back of these buttons, these little clock face buttons, because those little loops are going to be a nuisance. But, anyways, this is Dr. Von Mad. Don't forget to follow us on Pinterest, Patreon, and Facebook, and I will see you guys, one and all, on the flip side. Thanks for watching, bye-bye, and God bless.